Yo guys, what is up? Max here in a Diablo 4 video, and today we're talking about the fireside chat that the devs had. Now, in this chat, they talked about changes coming before Season 1 changes, and even talked about things coming in Season 2. They addressed a ton of issues and things that the community has been talking about, and overall, I thought it was really positive. It was about an hour and a half live stream, and in this video, I basically summed it up as short as I possibly can go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. One thing to note about this video is I am away from my main setup, so I'm on a laptop in an Airbnb, so it might not be the best quality, but I hope it does. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. So they talked about a ton of stuff, but first off, they talked about Nightmare Dungeons. Now, Nightmare Dungeons have notoriously been an issue. It's been why people have been farming literally anything else besides Nightmare Dungeons, and they're improving Nightmare Dungeons a ton, and this is all planned. So they're planning to make Nightmare Dungeons more efficient, and by efficient, they mean that sigils, the ones that you use to activate the Nightmare Dungeons, will now actually teleport you to the dungeon, or it'll make a portal that will open up, and then you just click on the portal and it will teleport you right into the Nightmare Dungeon. They also said they want you to be able to loop Nightmare Dungeons, so if you finish Nightmare Dungeon, you can just click the next one and be automatically brought to the next one. So Nightmare Dungeon should feel a lot better to run. In terms of the efficiency of them, they're also buffing their XP. They say that they want to have these changes live before Season 1 launches, so these changes will be live within the next 4 weeks, give or take, but they're also going to be buffing the rewards and the XP from Nightmare Dungeons, which is going to be massive. So I think we're going to see a big shift in what players are prioritizing from doing these basic dungeons and spamming them to actually being able to spam and run Nightmare Dungeons, which I think is going to be so much better because build metas are going to change as well. Builds that can push into these higher Nightmare Dungeons are going to be prioritized because of their efficiency versus builds that are being used right now are basically just can kill everything and just do the dungeon, these basic dungeons, as fast as possible. So great change there. Next up, they talked about Renown, which has been a big point of tension for seasonal content, mainly because the Renown grind, to put it bluntly, is pretty brutal. And so they're going to be changing the Renown grind for seasons and making it so that it transfers.
And then there's also the Altars of Lilith, which is basically, those will stay as well. You don't have to rediscover them every season. And that's always been true, the notion around the benefits you get from a Altar of Lilith, like +2 intelligence or +2 dex, those stay with you forever, much like the Renown system of the extra potion charge or the extra obol capacity.
So your Fog of War, aka how much the map you've uncovered, is going to transfer from your main characters to your seasonal characters, and it'll transfer from from season to season. So once you unlock the whole map in Diablo 4, you're good to go. Next up, you are still going to need to get to the waypoint. So even though you start a new seasonal character, you'll see the whole map, but you still need to go and discover the waypoints. You will not need to rediscover Altars of Lilith. Those are going to be account bound. So if you discover all the Altars of Lilith on one character, you're good to go for Diablo 4. You're also going to be able to keep your skill points and your obol caps. So if you have all the skill points claimed from Renown, when the season starts, you're going to start with those skill points and Paragon points, which is going to be massive. This will also work for your alt characters. So when you're in a season and you're doing your character playthrough, if you make another character, that second character is going to also have that map progress. They're also going to keep their renown, and this should make playing alts and leveling alts feel so much better because they're going to be transferred all of the hard work that you've been putting in to your main character. In terms of other changes that are going to be coming soon, because we will talk about the Season 2 changes that are a little bit bigger scope that they're planning on doing, but in terms of changes that we can expect to see soon, they're going to be changing Necro's Bladed Corpse explosion so that you can see better, as it currently makes it kind of impossible to see when it's on the ground. They're going to be increasing the material caps for your character so that you can have more materials as players are starting to reach those material caps. They're going to be fixing the higher level caches. So basically, if you beat a world boss in World Tier 4 that's dropping at level 80, you will now be able to hopefully open them. These aren't changes that are happening this second, but they're planned on a hotfix coming. Next up, they talked about a huge patch that's going to be coming out that is 13 pages long with a lot of buffs to a lot of things. They were basically saying, look, we see that you guys don't like these nerfs, and we're kind of nerfing things down to make them like even playing field, but then we're going to be buffing things. So expect a ton of buffs to characters and builds that haven't been performing. They also say they plan to make some performance changes, or buffing performance, especially like server side and like moving from area to area and some of that like rubber banding that players are getting. In terms of broader scope, Season 2 changes, there's a few things here. They plan to make gems no longer take up inventory space. These are now going to be basically a material, the same way that your like iron is a material. You will just have a material tab that is separate from your inventory that can have all of your gems, and you'll just pick up those gems kind of automatically as you're going. They also plan to buff up the impact of resistances in Season 2. Basically, right now, armor is be-all, end-all, and they plan to make resistances feel more impactful and want players to prioritize some more resistance things. That'll be also a Season 2 change. Next up, they're going to be adding a scroll consumable, aka the Scroll of Escape. This is going to, when you pick it up, these are going to be a rare resource, but when you pick it up, it'll be on your character, and if you have like a disconnect or internet issue, it's going to automatically trigger and teleport you to safety. This is to prevent hardcore characters to dying to disconnects. So that is going to be something that's going to be really, really cool for players playing hardcore in Season 2. And lastly, they talked about adding more social features. They didn't give a specific timeline for those, but they said that they wanted more ways for players to group up for dungeons and group content, and ways to find players of similar level, of similar world tier to play with. So that will also be coming, and they're going to be looking on how to implement those social features. I'm probably going to be seeing some of those around Season 2. They also noted that they saw players' complaints about elite density, and they don't plan right now on buffing like elite density, but they said that they got the dungeons now to a baseline where all the dungeons now should have a similar baseline of density, and they can move all those dungeons up from that base density from where they're at, but that's not something they're doing right now. They just said that they do have the ability to upgrade that mob density, but what it looks like they're trying to have players prioritize is those nightmare dungeons by making them more efficient, by giving them XP, by giving them better rewards, which is going to be drastically changing the way that players look at the end game. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope the laptop quality wasn't too bad. Honestly, I think they hit the nail on the head. I'm really, really curious to how they handle these buffs that are going to be coming, and probably some nerfs as well. But the changes to Nightmare Dungeons all sound fantastic. The changes to gems sound really great. The renown transferring is massive, and overall, I think they're doing a good job in like addressing these issues that everyone is really talking about. There are still plenty of issues that still need to be talked about in terms of like getting CC'd and the amount of CCs in the game. They talked a little bit about scaling, but like didn't have too much to say about that. So there are some other big issues, but for this little first update, I think they did a great job. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace!